Hey, how are you doing? I hope you've been doing okay. I asked that because I saw this thing the other day, which I thought was actually quite disturbing and made me think about what a lot of us really go through. On a macro level, we believe that because people are famous, they owe us their time and everything that comes within them. On a micro level, because we think because we've got family members that have been able to do well for themselves, they owe us that responsibility to dig us out of whatever it is we're struggling with. And it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? That's what I think anyway. It's a double-edged sword where it is one, you feel like you are responsible all the time to ensure that you do better by your family. And the other side of the sword is that you risk your well being at times because of that fear of criticism, the fear of letting people down, the fear of making sure you do right by them at all times, regardless of how you're feeling, where you're at within yourself. And the story I'm talking about is of a celebrity that had somebody parked outside of their home, all for the opportunity to take a photo with this person. Now, think about that for a moment. If at any other time that would be a problem, but on this occasion, as a rational human being, we've been able to convince ourselves that this is okay. And then when the person reacts in a way that is civil and you say, excuse me, my kids are trying to sleep, you don't want to leave. And that reaction becomes one of anger because you've become disrespectful. We believe that they're becoming too big for their boot. So we go from ignoring our rational brain to then convincing ourselves that whatever role we played in this never mattered because they owe us their time and everything about themselves because we've convinced ourselves that we made them. We made you who you are. Maybe because you liked boxing, you like wrestling, you like cycling, you and 20 million people that do that. So let's just factor this in for a moment. When does the person have the opportunity to be human? And I think I started with this story because I think for every single one of us, we struggle with this. It could be at our workplace because you work so hard, because you put in all of the hours under the sun. There is this automatic expectation that you are the one that has to get that thing done because you do it all the time. And the one day that you don't do it, automatically there is this judgment or resentment that kind of comes in, that you feel that, hold on a minute, I am still human and I'm allowed to have a day off, a day where I don't feel myself, a day where I feel unwell, a day where I feel as though I just can't seem to get it together. But because you're the most reliable person, the eyes of everyone goes, oh, wow, okay, they're not doing their job. But you've done this because you absolutely love it. Yes, people may have judged in the past to say, oh, you do too much. You're too good and you just don't seem to have a life for yourself. But maybe that's your life, your way of filling your time because maybe something is going on outside of work, and work is that consistency and that stability that you seem to have. But because you don't talk about it, nobody knows about that, and this is how you distract yourself. And that sense of where is that gratitude kind of kicks in inside of you, that you begin to feel worthless. Is this all people think about me? The thing there is, I would say that nobody really cares as much as you do. Nobody cares about you as much as you do. And the way we can show that is by demonstrating to ourselves that we actually do care about ourselves. Is it about the way that we're disciplined outside of the working environment? And we're not saying that there are not days where you have to catch up on some things, but there needs to be a life for you, a hobby for you, that being you go to the gym, that being you take up cricket, that being you play football, or you go dancing, if you're into dancing, that being having the opportunity to socialize with other humans that share like-minded activities. It might not be like-minded activities. It might be someone that likes to be challenged mentally, and you like to engage in debate in understanding how the other half thinks. So, have you left work today feeling as though, you know what, these people don't appreciate me? My question would be, do you appreciate yourself? Because that's where it starts. Because people would only treat you the way you treat yourself because you've given them permission to do that. If you don't value yourself, then you're giving people permission to not value. And it's hard to value yourself sometimes when it feels as though nothing is going right. When it feels as though home life is a bit of a mess. When it feels as though the people around you are unwell. When it feels as though people just constantly want and not giving you the opportunity to replenish yourself. But the thing is, how would they know when it's time for you to replenish when all you've ever done is be that person that gives? I suppose the thing would be that we know when to say no. You know when to say, you know what, I'm going to stop for a moment and I'm going to disappear. And during that period of me being away, that's the period I'm going to devote some time to myself. Because look at it this way. Imagine having a bottle and you put it under a running tap or a dripping tap. It starts empty, and before you know it, that one drop becomes 2, becomes 50, becomes 100. And it's only a matter of time before that bottle fills up. So regardless of if it's a drop or it is pouring in, the outcome is going to be exactly the same. The bottle's going to get filled up. And when it does, what's going to happen? It's going to spill. It's going to spill over. And when that happens, that water that should all be in that bottle is not there. And just like the bottle, we as humans also spill over, and that comes in either rage or other emotional forms where we become tearful, we become angry, we become anxious, we become resentful. We just blame ourselves for getting things wrong, for not meeting the need of that person that wanted us because we just weren't able to. But each time that we have the opportunity to engage in some level of self-care, what we are basically doing is tipping up a little bit from the bottle, little bits from the bottle. And if we do that enough, we empty the bottle and we almost start again. Many times have you gone on a holiday after working so hard with either family members or work itself, that having that peace to just not do anything or do something that's completely different to your regular routine that is quite stressful? Have you come back feeling as though you've been revitalized? And you're like, oh, I wish I could do this for a longer time. Obviously, if you were to do that for a longer time, that becomes your new routine and that becomes stale and boring after a long time, because we all need a level of pressure in our life, because that's what keeps and enables us to build the resilience that we need to be able to deal with the trials and tribulation that life brings. So, are we robots or are we human? We're humans. We're flawed. And we're allowed to be vulnerable. And we're allowed to not have it together all the time. And when we don't, have it together. We don't always have to face rebuke from people. But people will do it anyway because that's the human nature. But how do we combat that? We combat it by realizing that ultimately people are out for themselves, and when they don't get what they want, they lash out. And for the people that are used to just giving, it is okay to sit back and say, it is not about me. That person's anger is not about me. There is something that they're potentially going through. And it's okay for them to have that moment. Removing ourselves from that enables us to free ourselves from the guilt that we're going to consistently put on ourselves, because we can't deal with it all. We just can't. We have a role to play. But when we do play our role, we need to remember that we need time away from it. Because what happens when you don't, you burn out. And when you do that, you can't do anything anyway. Sometimes you take yourself out completely. So is it better to be able to give something of yourself some of the time, or not at all? I suppose the question you need to ask yourself is exactly that. Exactly that. For this guy, it turned out that when we are asking for photos, nobody's considering who is around at the time. So if you're out with your kids and you're trying to focus on them, but instead you're trying to also focus on the people that want photos from you, somebody's missing out. The children, whilst they are privileged to have access to the fame and fortune that comes with your status, they're still children that need time with their parents, which is being denied of them. And then what we spoke about, that begins to build resentment. I'd rather not go out with you because every time I'm out, you can't focus because you focus on everybody else and it feels as though they matter more than me. Can you see how it's all connected? So discipline comes into play. The question again is, should you be comfortable with giving some of yourself some of the time, or none of yourself because you're burnt out? Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Until next time, it has been King. Peace. Bye for now.